The movie Against the Sun is based on a true story. It is January 16th, 1942, the height of World War II. The United States has just joined the war after the attack on Pearl Harbor. 3 American soldiers on a patrol mission in the South Pacific Ocean start facing some technical difficulties. The radioman, Gene Aldrich, tries to contact their aircraft carrier, but he cannot reach anyone. They seem to be too far away at sea. On top of that, their fuel starts running low. So the pilot, Harold Dixon, prepares to land the plane on the water before they completely run out of fuel. He commands the other 2 soldiers to grab water, food, and flares. Harold lands the plane on the sea, but they have another disaster to face. The plane starts to sink. So the 3 of them use life jackets to come up to the surface. In the scramble, they lose the drinking water, food, and flares. Thankfully, they have an emergency raft which they fill up with air. The 3 of them drag themselves up and into it. They sit in the cold night air, trying to gather their strength. They hope that the army will pick them up by the next morning. Day 1 of being stranded in the open ocean, and no one has come to their rescue. To lighten the mood, Gene and the 3rd soldier, Tony Patsula, pretend to drink coffee like they are back in their barracks. The main pilot, Harold, asks Gene the radio man why he couldn't pick up any signals last night. Gene has no answer and says that they were probably too far away from other planes. They have nothing else to do other than watch out for signals of any planes or ships. Gene spots an American plane in the sky. Since they lost their flares in the water last night, the 3 wave their clothes to grab the plane's attention. It does not work. Harold says that this was the search mission for them. If the plane did not see them now, it will not come back. Gene and Tony can't believe that they would be left like this. But Harold, being a senior soldier with more experience, reminds them that they are at war and the army has more pressing things to do. He scolds Gene and Tony for not saving the food and flares. Harold then takes command of his men. They take out everything they have. They have cords, whistles, and other tools, but nothing to eat nor drink, and no maps. Tony shows them a gun that he manages to save. They decide to reduce the weight of their rubber raft by throwing away their shoes and other non-essentials. But Harold keeps his shoes, saying that if they make it to land, somebody needs to walk. Tony is okay with it, but Gene does not like that at all. That night, Harold takes a water bag and pees in it. Since they have no other water, he drinks it. Gene almost pukes, but he manages to go to sleep. Day 2 of being stranded on the ocean, Gene and Tony continue their light-hearted ritual of pretending to drink coffee. Harold notices that the wind is blowing, so they decide to sail in that same direction towards friendly American islands. Those islands are hundreds of miles away, and this journey could take more than weeks. So they decide to catch some fish to eat. They use the rope from earlier and a wire from the gun to make a fishing line, which they sink underwater. Soon after, they get a bite, but whatever is down there eats away at the line immediately. Gene cannot tolerate the heat and the waiting, so he puts on his life jacket and jumps into the sea. The water is cool, and he starts enjoying it. But Harold reminds him that this place is known to have sharks. So he quickly swims back. Harold says that they can refresh themselves in the water, but they have to stay near the raft. Day 5 of being stranded. The heat, starvation, and thirst have started to affect the men. Tony wonders if drinking just a handful of seawater will be okay, but Harold stops him, saying that the salt water will make him even more thirsty. Suddenly, Harold screams in happiness. He has found a pencil. He uses his memory and the compass to make a map. They use it to try to figure out where they are and where the nearest friendly island is in the Pacific. Now, they just need the wind to continue blowing strongly. They also use a life jacket to make a temporary anchor in order to avoid being moved in the wrong direction. Their moods start to lift. That night, it rains. They finally have water to drink after days of thirst. They fill up all their water bags and drink directly in the rain, all the while laughing maniacally. It has been a week, but the fishing line has not worked. So, Gene, who has now become extremely impatient, brings out his knife. Harold immediately commands him to put the knife away, but Gene does not listen to him. He starts stabbing the fish in the water until it lands on something. It's a shark. He brings the fish into the boat and scares the living daylights out of Tony. After that, they cut open the shark's guts and smaller fishes pour out. Gene takes one of these smaller fishes and eats it raw. The other men do the same. They eat what they can of the shark and keep the remaining meat for future use. With food in their stomach, the men find strength to talk and work properly. Tony says that he has a girl waiting for him back home. He says that he also has a sister, whom Gene would really like. Gene is fascinated by this, so he asks what Tony's sister is like. Tony describes his sister, Frances. While Gene happily imagines her, Gene says that she sounds lovely. Suddenly, they realize that more sharks have arrived under the boat, all following the smell of blood from the shark they killed. That night, Gene is sleeping with his hand in the water when a shark bites it. Tony scares it away by shooting at it. Harold patches up Gene's wounds and puts him to rest. The men spend the next several days drinking the little water they have and eating the remaining meat while facing the burning sun and the cold nights. Gene suffers deep wounds in his hand, but he manages to use it properly. He continues trying to stab another fish, but he isn't successful. Day 15 of being stranded, and Tony grabs his gun as if contemplating killing himself. Gene silently takes it from him and then points it at an albatross which has landed on their raft. Harold, who was sleeping, is scared, but he understands what is going on and he jumps into the water to get the bird. As he's returning with it, they see a shark approaching Harold. Harold starts to rush as the shark follows him. They try to shoot it, but their gun jams just then. But thankfully, Harold gets back onto the raft safely while the giant shark swims below. Meanwhile, Tony throws away the bullets so as not to be tempted to kill himself again. Day 20 of being stranded, Harold wakes up to find out that neither Gene nor Tony is keeping watch. Instead, they are sleeping. They say that it is useless, but Harold yells at them. Gene and Tony start doubting Harold's skills with navigation. Gene also blames Harold for flying too far away at the beginning, which prevented Gene from making radio contact with other planes. They also doubt the map that Harold made, saying that it was based on faulty memory and estimates. Harold says that there should be islands all around them by now. Tony realizes that they missed the islands. Gene starts yelling at Harold for getting them lost in the first place. Harold starts to think back to the flight. Apparently, he had been falling asleep, which is why he flew too far away and lost their ship's signal. He admits to the two of them that he fell asleep. Gene and Tony are shocked to hear this, and Harold starts apologizing to them. Gene takes the life jacket with the map and gives it to Harold, asking him to take them back home. Harold decides to make temporary oars. He takes his shoes. Then he takes the soles, and they use them to paddle. Day 30 of being stranded. The men are far beyond human capabilities, mentally and physically. Their skin is burnt red, and their feet are damaged. But they continue paddling weakly. They start to wonder if their life insurance has been collected by their family. That night, they get rain. They use their shirts to collect the fresh water and squeeze them into their water bag. Much later, Lightning and thunder starts to break the skies while powerful winds blow at them. It's a hurricane at sea. They hold onto the raft while giant waves turn their boat over. Despite the terrible rain, they manage to turn the raft over and get back in. Now, they have to survive the cold rain. They talk about nice things from their past. In the process, Gene hallucinates Tony's sister and declares that he loves her. Harold says that if they survive, he would recommend Gene and Tony for commendation. But he is worried that he himself might get court-martialed for falling asleep on the plane at the beginning, which got them into this. Gene and Tony assure him that they would never reveal that if they survived. The men start letting go of themselves. But Tony gets up, saying that they have survived too long to just give up now. So they all start paddling weakly with their hands. One day, they all see something strange on the horizon. It's an island. They all laugh and cry tears of happiness at finally reaching land. They may yet survive. As they approach it, they get worried that the island is controlled by the Japanese, but they have no other choice. They finally reach the sandy beach, having been at sea for 34 days. They find it difficult to walk properly at first, but they pick themselves up and slowly walk to a hut nearby. A message at the end says that they landed on the island of Puka Puka, which was friendly to the Americans. They traveled over 1,000 miles. Later, Harold was awarded a Navy Cross for guiding his men to safety. Tony did not continue his Navy career. Gene continued serving in the war as a radioman. After the war, he married Tony's sister, Frances. We also get to see a picture of the real men and the raft they survived on. And this is how this survival war drama ends, with a great portrayal of the strength of the human spirit. For more unique and fascinating movies that you may not even have heard about, click on the videos on your screen. Also, do subscribe, like, and comment. Your one act will make a huge difference to us.